Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Let's talk about what happened. Pitbull, Lamont Roach, we seen what happened. Pitbull was straight robbed. If you had it close, I can give you that. If you had it either way, I can give you that. But if we look at the scores, we look at what happened. Pitbull dropped him. Pitbull put a beating on him. Alright, Lamont Roach didn't do enough. And if you want to use the numbers, I'm going to show you how that's factually false. The scores were 115, 111 Pitbull. The other judges had a 113, 113. But we know what the deciding factor was. The bullshit call by the ref. Didn't get a warning, just took a point away. They were both dirty. Look, Pitbull won that fight. If there was a robbery, Pitbull got robbed. Changed my mind, but I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to show you what really happened. Pitbull did a great job against a guy who's known for not doing enough. We've seen it time and time again with Lamont Roach. Let's break it down. So the excuses, they're coming in hot and heavy. Lamont Roach claiming that he broke his hand. Alright, do we believe him? I don't know. But look, the story of the fight was Pitbull pretty much outworked Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach is known for being a counterpunchy, backing up. You know, people said that Pitbull was backing up and was changing the course of the fight. I don't believe that for an instant. If you watch the fight, you know, Pitbull is gonna be a meme now with the tongue sticking out, but he was essentially clowning Lamont Roach. We've seen it time and time again. Lamont Roach didn't really want to come forward, and when he was forced to come forward, he really didn't do all that much. Pitbull pressed the action, threw a lot of punches. The commentators were extremely biased, saying that he missed, but if you watch and know Pitbull, he throws a lot of punches. You know, people said he was being dirty. I don't think he was. You know, Roach's trunks were a little high, and he was crouching. Pitbull's a smaller fighter. Roach is constantly holding him, pushing him down, and that's what the fans seen. That's what the judges seen. I don't know how you could give it to Roach for kind of just backing up, constantly doing nothing, waiting for the action to take place. And did he counter? Yes, he countered here and there, but I don't think he landed the harder, cleaner, effective punches. And when I was scoring the fight, that's really what I scored it for. Pitbull simply outworked Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach has a history of this. When he fought Stank Davis, he simply really didn't do enough. And that's saying a lot, because Stank Davis didn't do much himself, and Roach did just a little bit more, and that's why people felt he won the fight. But in my opinion, he deserved a draw. In these type of fights, you have to go out and take it. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about this extremely biased controversy. The PBC announcing team was absolutely disgusting. Now, I don't want to make it about Canelo Crawford, but we've seen the same thing. Watch the Exodus Files. It just shows an extremely biased commentary, only showing Terrence Crawford landing, and the same thing with Lamont Roach. At the end of the telecast, the announcer said Lamont Roach dominated. Now, if I'm watching a fight, I don't let that sway me. But when we talk about people, they tend to be swayed by things like that. And people are coming out and saying Roach dominated. So therefore, it's a robbery. Alright? I didn't see that. A lot of people on social media did not see that. It's about 50-50 that say that Lamont Roach was robbed or Pitbull, earned a draw. But really, in reality, Pitbull was the one robbed, according to the judges. He would have won on the scorecards were it not for the bogus point taken away. But we got to talk about this biased commentary when we're watching fights. We cannot let the commentary sway what we seen. And what I seen was Pitbull outworking Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach is not an active fighter. He likes to coast, he likes to back up, and he wants the other person to do the work so he can land pitter-patter, slapping counters. That's not the way that boxing works. Effective aggression is scored. When you throw punches, that is scoring. Backing up and waiting is not scoring. Judges will see one fighter moving forward and pressing the action, and that's who they're going to give it to. And Isaac Cruz was landing the harder punches, but if you listen to the announcing team, they will tell you that he missed a lot of punches, which factually just is not true because the judges seen it the way that they seen it. We have to stop listening to biased commentary. And that's where we'll pick up with the actual numbers, how people are justifying that Pitbull got robbed. They're saying that Lamont Roach threw and landed more. Now see, this is the interesting thing with biased commentary and biased fans that really are just being brainwashed when they're watching the fight. As I'm going to show you, we've seen other cases where that's just not true. In the case of Castillo Mayweather, Castillo dominated in every single category. And anybody watching the fight know he kicked Fraud May runner's ass from pillar to post, just like Pitbull did to Lamont Roach. And if you point to the stats where Castillo dominated, power punches, punches landed, they will say no, Mayweather was more efficient. Lomachenko and Davina Hanke, another situation. Loma dominated that fight, beat his ass from pillar to post. Haney got his ass kicked. People said Loma dominated the stats, threw more and punched more. And they will tell you no, Haney was more efficient. Now this is where the biased media and fans work hand in hand. In the case of Lamont Roach, they will say that he threw and landed more, therefore he won the fight. And the commentating tried to tell you that Pitbull wasn't landing. But that's where you get it wrong. The judges seen him landing. A lot of times you don't have the perspective of the judges. The judges are ringside. They're watching him land punches that may or may not have been counted. People want to use the numbers when it's effective for them. And that's where the biases comes in. Some days people want to acknowledge CompuBox and other days they don't. This is a problem. We have to stand up, acknowledge when someone wins a fight based on harder punches, based on throwing and doing work. You can outwork your opponent with aggression and landing anywhere you can. And after it all said and done, it was a decent fight. Too much clinching, too much holding, and that's where the bias and the bullshit comes in. You know, Pitbull really got hosed here. You know, Lamont Roach did his fair share of dirty tactics, hitting behind the head, pushing him down. Pitbull did good countering it. You know, if this guy's gonna hold, then I'm gonna hold. You know, Pitbull backed up. He did everything he had to do, landed the cleaner, harder punches. But it just doesn't seem to be enough to fool the casual observer, right? Because the casual observer is fooled by the biased commentary. They look on social media, they say Roach was robbed, and it just wasn't true. This is why I do it. We need to speak up and speak out when we hear biased commentary say Roach dominated. That just wasn't true. Pitbull was robbed. You need to understand that that bullshit ref robbed Pitbull of a great win. And quite frankly, there just was too much holding. Could Pitbull have done more? Could Pitbull win the rematch? It remains to be seen. But as far as I know, he got hosed and his hand should have been raised and he should be on to bigger and better fights. Now there's a lot of conspiracy theories. Maybe the PBC wanted Pitbull to win so that it would absolve Stank Davis of a Roach rematch. You know, and then the Roach Glazers, they're saying that, you know, Pitbull was the favorite son and they gave him everything. I hear people saying that, oh, Pitbull had the crowd in his favor, that, you know, PBC wanted him to win. And if that was true, he would have won. There's a lot of excuses coming for Lamont Roach. He broke his hand. The crowd was in his favor. He got a gift. If anything, he was the favorite son. He got a gift. He is lucky that he did not lose. But what happens going forward will remain to be seen. A rematch, I'm not sure. I don't know if it did well on pay-per-view, but I don't know if fans are willing to pay for another Pitbull Lamont Roach 2. But at the end of the day, it just goes to show that people can be brainwashed by the commentary, by social media. But at the end of the day, Pitbull should have had his hand raised and was robbed. People want to say the judges get it right when their fighter wins, but when it comes to a situation like this and they see Pitbull get robbed, then, well, the judges don't know what they're watching. So when you hear things like that, keep an open mind and see when people are trying to bullshit you. So with that, Frank Bay, boxing, Pitbull was robbed. Thank you. See you next time. I'm out.
I hurt my left hand in probably like the 6th round, but I got through it.
Not to mention, I think I broke my hand in like the 5th round.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.